with some short Mangalacharana or invocation of presence and blessings. For me, I always like to say this is the most important part of the lecture, of the meeting, because it's a crucial moment of opening for grace to ideally be a channel, all of us, in this particular gathering. So I'll recite a few mantras. Some of you may know, some may be new. Even if you kind of follow with some of them, just try to remain present and open to whatever grace wants to come upon us. Ajnanatirandasya Jnanam-Jnana-Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Shrishtam Manumati Satchiputram Atra Swarupam Rupam Tasya Grajamaro Purim Matharim Gostavatim Radha Kundam Girivaram Maho Radhikamadhavasan Prapto Yasya Pratitha Gripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natusmi Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Nikhila Shruti Male Ratnamaladite Nirajita Padapankajanta Aji Mukta Kulairupashamanam Paritastvam Harinam Samshrayami Anarapitacharim Chirat Karunayavatirana Kalo Samarapaitamannatojvalarasam Sabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundara Dyuti Kadamba Sandipita Sada Hridaye Kangaresh Puratu Vasatinandana Ajanulambita Bhujo Kanakabadato Sankirtanaika Pitaro Kamalaya Takshu Vishwambaro Dvijavaro Jugadharmapalo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataru Ladini Shakti Swarupaya Gauranga Suridaya Cha Bhakta Shakti Pradhanaya Gadadhara Namastute He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Namami Hari Priye Bhaktya Vihinaya Paradha Lakshay Chiptascha Kamaditarangamadhi Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapanam Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Shri Gaudiya Vaishnava Gaur Parampara Ki Jai Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari Ki Jai Shri Harinam Prabhu Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Welcome, good morning to all. Thanks so much for coming. So we are continuing with our trying to honor the momentum that most of us experience in the Bhakti bloom, and continuing witnessing the ongoing blooming of Bhakti, right? Because Bhakti bloom is not just a one weekend per year, right? Bhakti keeps blossoming ideally at every breath, at every step. No? Sri Chaitanya Dev will say, Shikshastakam Anandam Buddhibhardanam Pratipadam Purnam Brita. One referring to the effects of Sri Krishna Sankirtan. At every moment you are invited to immerse yourself in an ocean of bliss in which everything gets deeper at every step. At every step you're walking, something new to discover. Somehow, yesterday we were talking about that, and we will continue to talk about that today and hopefully forever, which is the idea of wonder and the idea of how to continue witnessing the blossoming of Bhakti, Bhakti Lata Beach. As Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami will say, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beach, Brahmanda Brahmiti Kona Bhagyavan Jiva. The fortunate Jiva receives the seed of Bhakti by the grace of Guru and Krishna. And then Sri Chaitanya Dev explains to Rupa Goswami how this seed is planted in fertile soil, watered properly, maybe some fencing is required, as we talked yesterday, some uprooting, gardening process. You have to become an expert gardener, basically. That's our dharma as bhaktas. Who are you? I'm a gardener. Inner gardener. And then he starts to describe how this vine of devotion starts to grow and to go up, transcending different layers. Whether go up or go deep, you choose the analogy you want. It's an analogy. And eventually it says, when it firmly becomes fixed at the lotus feet of Sri Radha and Krishna, it's not that the growing process of the vine is over there. Okay, we are there, nothing else to explore, to deepen. In one sense we could say, when you get there, then the real thing starts. No. Everything else is a warming up for entering the stage of the Leela. Leela, in one sense, is a divine drama that is performed at a certain stage. But before entering the stage to officially perform the drama, the actors, so to say, are rehearsing and warming up and practicing. So this is what Jiva Goswami says with sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti means bhakti in practice, then comes bhava bhakti or prem bhakti. Bhakti in ecstasy, bhakti in divine love. It's all bhakti. That word always is there. As I like to say, the goal of bhakti is bhakti. Bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya. Bhagavatam says bhakti comes from bhakti, bhakti goes to bhakti. It's bhakti all the way, from beginning to like someone once asked Srila Prabhupada, so what's the fruit of chanting Hare Krishna? He was kind of like surprised by the question, because the implication of the question is there's something else that will come as the actual reward of doing this chanting stuff. And Prabhupada very innocently say the fruit of chanting Hare Krishna is that you will be able to chant more Hare Krishna. Is there anything else apart from that? The fruit of bhakti is bhakti. Deeper bhakti, broader bhakti, but still bhakti. That makes bhakti the goal. If something else will be higher, that will be the goal. So again, Jiva Goswami interestingly says, sadhana bhakti or bhakti in practice, which I would say probably most of us maybe in that chapter of the journey, he says it's a warming up for bhava bhakti and prema bhakti. And again, not to dismiss any stage we may be in, but just to say there is a warming up period. And he gives the example like if someone is conducting a yajna, a sacrifice, fire sacrifice, swaha. We've all been there, no? Throwing some rice grains, trying not to hit the priest, and so on. That's what the sacrifice is all about, right? And he says, but before all that, someone needs to go to the forest and bring the wood from the sacrifice. Strictly speaking, going to the forest and doing the wood cutting is not technically the yajna. It's a preliminary function, but it's part of the yajna, because without it you have no yajna, you have no sacrifice, you have no wood. So he will say sadhana bhakti is like picking up the wood, warming up, preparing the element for the actual fire, the fire of passionate divine love, consuming everything on its way, so to say. So So here we are, again, witnessing our Bhakti bloom. I like the word bloom because, again, bloom is a verb, it's also a noun, so it can be, it has its passive and active aspects, so to say. And the blooming is endless, no? So that's the interesting thing. In one sense there is oneness, and in one sense there is difference. It's always Bhakti from beginning to end, but at the same time Bhakti is always new and ever-changing. So we have oneness and difference, unity and diversity. We call it in our tradition Acintya-bheda-abheda. That's our metaphysical system, Acintya-bheda-abheda, which means reality is inconceivably, paradoxically, simultaneously one and different. And this is a pattern that applies to everything. In everything you find a constancy you say in English? That something is constant.
No? Consistency.
Yeah, consistency and change. Sometimes there's this saying, the only constant is change. And you can say that still is a constant. So there's oneness and difference always. The other day we were in Austria and we have this Danube river, you call Danube? We will say, okay, you will always call that river with that name, but the river is never the same. The water is always flowing. As the saying goes, you never bathe twice in the same stream. But there's always, we call the Danube. One is this consistency, and ever-flowing. Unity and diversity. That's one example, but you can find that in everything. So in the same way, Acintya-bheda-abheda is for us, the blueprint of reality. Everything has its part which is one, and its part which is different. We share so much in common, and we are so different at the same time. It's not one or the other. It's not either or, but as they say, both and. So, and this is considered Acintya. Acintya basically means this is not something that operates in the usual way we tend to think about things. Because many times we think more in black and white terms. It's one or different. It's black or white. It's good or bad. What about both at the same time? One and different. Is Krishna changeless or ever evolving? Both. And I'm saying all this in the context of the recent book that I published, because Kanupriya invited me to talk about it, Evolution in Divine Love, the eternal becoming of God, soul and matter. And in this book I try to explore that idea, how everything is one and different, whether we speak about love, about God, about us, about material energy. There is an ingredient of Veda, difference, and Aveda, non-difference in everything. So for example, Rupa Goswami, he gives 64 attributes of Krishna. One of them is Krishna is changeless. But we have to be very careful what we understand by that, because two qualities after that, he said Krishna is ever fresh. Mistake. Right. Nitya Nutana, ever fresh, ever new, ever young. The two qualities before he's changeless. So again, this invites us to think about things in a different way. Because usually for us, it's, or you are changeless, or you are always evolving. Don't bring those two at the same time. Yes, two at the same time. Paradox. Paradox is what holds the most truth. When you learn to think and live paradoxically, you can accommodate many more things than when we live in a black or white scenario. And again, this applies to everything. Guru is Krishna, Guru is not Krishna. Like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Sakshat Haridvena Samastu Sas. You are directly Hari, Kintu, but Prabhurja Priyavatas. You are dear to Hari. So, what do we mean by that? We need to spend enough time to accommodate paradox. In which sense a guru is one with Krishna, and in which sense a guru is not one with Krishna. In which sense there is unity, in which sense there is difference. So Acintya-bheda-abheda tattva invites us to this very nuanced way of thinking about things. Let me share one brief paragraph in this connection that I mark here. Then let's see where we end up. Okay. Okay. So yesterday we were talking about wonder and how to continue rediscovering our own path. And again, we are relating to a person, a divine person, Krishna, Radha and Krishna. Again, when we are talking about Veda, also one aspect of Veda is Krishna. It's not only Krishna, there is a female side of the divine, the goddess. So I could give the whole lecture not talking about Krishna and talking about Radha, and I'm still talking about the same person in one sense. It's the same non-dual reality. So it's important that we keep those things in mind also. God is God and Goddess. It's male and female, and not male and female in any way we can think about that. Way beyond our own perceptions of femininity and masculinity. So, the sweet absolute, as I like to call the divine, also Krishna, Radha Krishna, Sri Chaitanya there. One of his names or her names or their names, again, complex language makes everything complicated. We are talking about something beyond language. One name received is, the divine received is Urukrama. Urukrama means, it can be literally translated as that person who makes very bold steps. But many times it's translated as the great adventurer. So we have a God who is interested in adventure. In living life as an adventure, not living life as a, how to say, predetermined script. No, like this, like that, this, like that, then this will happen. That's a whole other conversation. We were having the other day in Austria, that was very interesting. About omniscience. How omniscient Krishna is. Because if you are fully omniscient and you know everything in advance, there's no adventure. There's no surprise, there's no wonder, because you already know what will be happening. So does God know absolutely everything? Some Vaishnava theologians, and I align with them, will say Krishna knows everything that happened in the past, everything that is happening in the present, and all the potential possibilities that could happen in the future. But he doesn't know exactly which one will happen. And that leaves the door open for surprise and wonder. Because as we say yesterday, Rasa Vaisaha, Rasa Sar Chamatkar. God is Rasa and the essence of Rasa is wonder. So the essence of God is wonder. If the essence of God is wonder, he has to be marveled at something. And if you know everything in advance, by oh yeah, this will happen, then there's no wonder. But wonder is the essence of God, so if there's no wonder, there's no God. So all this to say, we worship, we adore. I like more the word adore because it relates for me to the word adorable. It's more intimate. Worship makes it a little bit vague. So we adore an adventurous God, Urukrama. So that's one paragraph. So in this book I speak a lot about the notion of deep evolution. Not only evolution as we may understand, but the depths of how things evolve and grow and change and expand, starting with love, continuing with God, us, even matter. So it says deep evolution occurs because God is more interested in adventure than in preserving the status quo. It's not the same, right? Preserving the status quo, things as they are, adventure is a disruption in one sense. of the status quo. It is this ever-unfolding journey that the Bhakti tradition celebrates as Leela. We can translate Leela as adventures. Adventures play. Play. Play means there's some excitement waiting for us. 1 and 2. That's Acintya-bheda-abheda. Yeah. I don't think I will drink that much water. You never know. Adventure. I'm not omniscient, I cannot say. So, Leela. We have this word Leela. Leela means divine play. Leela means something exciting. Something new will happen. If I invite you to play something, we already know how everything will take place. It's absolutely boring. Let's play a chess match, and you already know every single move. How you're not playing, you're faking, not that you're playing. You follow my point? So in the Leela, we see so many times you pay attention to the Leela how Krishna is really excited and finding nuance, and if you say no, he already knew everything in advance. So what? He's faking them? Are we again adoring a fake God that makes a show of, oh yeah, now I have to fake that I'm excited and I'm surprised and etc. Oh wow! Actually, I knew everything in advance. That's such a boring God. So that's the opposite of the divine we adore. So, for Leela to remain eternal, and we speak about Leela as eternal, an unchanging dimension within God is essential. Abhed, non-difference. An aspect that preserves his identity as the supreme truth, steady and irreplaceable. Simultaneously, for Leela to be dynamic and endlessly transformative, this eternal truth must also possess an inherent drive for boundless expansion. Process theologian Charles Hartshorne calls this divine nature dipolar. Not bipolar, but dipolar, encompassing both immanence and transcendence, completeness with an urge for further completeness. Unchanging essence alongside perpetual evolution, a divine who is both a verb and a noun. In our tradition we call this Acintya-bheda-abheda, the paradoxical coexistence of distinction and oneness that permeates all of reality. So, again, when we say Krishna, God, Radha, Krishna, however women like to call him, her, them, we have to keep in place all these possibilities. No? Like the other day I was in Austria and someone said, no, because Krishna, and I tell him, why we are pointing up? No? Like joking, but I say like, why are you doing like this? Why are you exiling Krishna above the clouds, so to say? Why you do not make him immediate? Here and now. The Sri Upanishad will say, God is the person who is the closest of the closest, and also he's the one who is the most far away. Like implying, if you want to keep him that far away, he will be that far away. But if you want to feel and conceive of the divine as the most close and intimate, there he is. Sometimes Krishna is so close to us that we lose sight of him. Imagine that. He's so close and intimate that we don't see him anymore because we tend to look for him at a certain distance. There is some unconscious bias we have. I would call that an anartha, to be honest. That somehow God has to be at some distance. Probably because we don't want him to mess up too much with our lives. So you stay there or you go to the altar. When I open the curtains, okay, we relate a little bit more. But when you are getting too much into my life, I close the curtains. Right? You have your life, I have mine. We don't mess up with one another. And Krishna's like, but that was the whole purpose of it. Right? So, yeah, many times we may say, Krishna, where are you? I don't feel you. And probably we are looking for him too far. And he's saying, I'm here, I'm closer. I mean, I'm right there next to you in your heart. You are looking for me too far away. That's why you cannot see me. Right? Of course, God is beyond everything, but God is also in everything. That's called also panentheism. God in everything, everything in God. Now, that in itself is an idea worth staying with. Like this Buddhist koan. No? Like this line that you just stay with that. It doesn't make sense in how you think of things. No, you are Krishna's in everything. You are in Krishna. No? That's the ultimate truth for us. That's another way of speaking about the Acintya-bheda-abheda. Famous Leela, where Krishna is accused of eating dirt, no, of eating earth, soil. His friends are accusing him, Yashoda is calling him, Krishna. Your friends, Balaram is accusing you. Your elder brother, Dauji, no, elder brother speaks, authorities, carries some authorities, your elder brother, accusing you of eating dirt. Krishna says, I haven't eaten any dirt. They are accusing me because they are envious that I always defeat them in wrestling. That's the truth. They are lying. That's it. Open your mouth. Let's see if there's any earth there. Okay, Krishna opens his mouth. There is some earth there. Planet Earth, to be more precise. So Yashoda looks and she sees the whole cosmic manifestation inside Krishna, and Krishna then inside that cosmic manifestation, opening his mouth, and another cosmic manifestation, and being inside that, and him. So like a kaleidoscopic vision, like fractal, it like has no end. And at the same time, when she goes back, she sees Krishna inside this world. So then looks inside Krishna, and the world is inside Krishna. That's panentheism in the Leela. Now, the Leela is giving this philosophical teaching. Krishna, God is in everything, but everything is in Him as well, simultaneously, both. In one sense, you can think of, I'm now inside the womb of the Divine. That's the whole idea of the description of the Virat Rupa in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The whole universe is a form of God. You can think of it as such. You're being held by the Divine in the form of nature. That's interestingly how most of these sessions, Q&A sessions in the Bhagavatam, there are many sessions between teacher and students, not only Parikshit and Sukadeva. And many times the first answer to any question the student has is a reference to the Virat Rupa. It's interesting. Like Parikshit Maharaj, that's how Sukadeva Goswami replies first. Parikshit Maharaj says, I'm about to die in 7 days. What's the highest duty of life? 6 questions he presents. Sukadeva Goswami starts apparently replying with something disconnected. He starts to speak about Virat Rupa. See this world in connection to God. Like implying, if you don't get that one, if you don't get that lesson, we cannot go any further. No? Yeah, we will conclude in Vrindavan and Rasa Leela, but first, treat matter with dignity. Do not insult this Shakti, this sacred energy of the Divine. Learn to see the Divine in the most immediate reality. And then we can talk about other more metaphysical stuff. But first, deal with the physical in a sacred way. So again, this is part of the Acintya-bheda-abheda idea. God is transcendent. Yeah, He's beyond everything, but He's immanent. He's inside everything. So if Krishna is inside everything, everything is His temple, basically. And we were quoting the other day Srila Prabhupada, he will say, Krishna is everywhere, and wherever He is His temple. And He's everywhere. So again, God is immanent and transcendent. He's changeless and ever-evolving. In my third book, I try especially to concentrate on this idea ever-evolving. But again, the ever-evolvingness of Krishna occurs because he's changeless. What's changeless about Krishna? That he's always Krishna, that he's always God, that he's always the all-attractive. And because he's changeless in being all-attractive, that means that changelessness and his all-attractiveness allows for him to become more attractive at every moment. What doesn't change about Krishna is that he's always becoming more attractive. So there you have some change, because he's always becoming more attractive. And that doesn't change about him. Again, we need to learn to think in those ways. That's paradoxical thinking. What doesn't change about God is that he's always changing. Okay. Changing for the best. No? Because sometimes we think, oh, change implies he was not as good before the change. And now he changed. He became better. But he changes on the foundation of perfection and becomes always more perfect and more perfect and more perfect. Perfection is not a, as I mentioned in my book, perfection is not a fixed maximum. You reach that, okay, you are perfect. You cannot become more perfect. That's a very imperfect definition of perfection. If I say perfection means you reach this point, game over. That's perfection. That sounds pretty limited. Pretty imperfect. Perfection means you reach a point that is changeless, there is no more movement, no more dynamics, no more news, no more wonder, no more surprise. The more you hear that, it's like, I don't want to go there. So we have to be very careful not to conceive and define eternity in a way that sounds more like hell than heaven, so to say. Because if I'm inviting you for eternity to a place where there are no news, no surprise, no wonder, no change, it's like, I stay here, it's okay. With all the ups and downs and stuff, it sounds more exciting, more dynamic here. So yeah, there is always some newness, and there's always constancy at the same time, consistency. Interestingly, I was thinking today in the morning, because according to our Vaishnava calendar, today starts the celebration of one Leela called Julan Jatra. Which is it's interesting because not every single Leela that Radha Krishna perform is marked in our calendar. There are so many, we could fill the calendar with some, but there are a few of them. Rasa Leela, of course, and a few others, and this is one of those. Julan Jatra, which means like the swing festival, if you want to translate it somehow. How will you say that in German? Swing festival.
Schaukelfest.
Fest, I know fest. Schaukel. Nice. So I was thinking today about that. Okay, we are talking today about this topic, changeless and ever-evolvingness, this Acintya-bheda-abheda, and how this Julan Jatra is also representing that. No? Because in one sense, swing festival means there's a movement, but the movement is happening on, the swing is tied to something that is fixed. So there's something fixed, and there is something moving, right? There's something changeless, there's something ever-evolving. And the swing seems to move always in the same way, back and forth. But not every move is the same ever. Right? So again, you have in this Leela, this lesson, for example, it's ever new. There's something ever new. It's not like, okay, I do it one time, okay, it's over. Because the next one will be the same. No, it won't be the same. So we can extract this lesson from the Leela. Leelas are not only just like, how to say, nice stories. Also, but also they have so much philosophy, so much Vedanta principles to learn from them. And we hear that Radha and Krishna perform this swing festival ongoing. It's not just something that happens once. So there's so much going on. Apparently the same thing. Like imagine if I invite you to a swing and to do the swinging for eternity. Sometimes maybe after 5 minutes I think I'm done with the swing. We need to do something else. But if we enter into a realm with the inner experience is always new, you can always do something relatively similar externally, but it's never the same thing. Remember, that idea came to me when I first heard one of our teachers, Srila Bhakti Thakur. He will describe in very confidential terms some of his eternal services in his spiritual identity, his Kamala Manjari. He will say one of his services to prepare camphor lamps to be offered to Radha and Krishna in eternity, forever. So for me that was interesting, because imagine if I bring now to you some camphor. Okay, let's do some camphor lamps. How many, Maharaj? We have to prepare camphor lamps forever, so they last for eternity. So that's pretty much. And we may start to get a little unsettled, like camphor lamps for eternity. I think I may get a little nervous after camphor lamp number 108. I mean, with the breaks and variety. So how can someone be doing the same thing for eternity? It means that there is something that is never the same thing. Externally it may sound like that, but internally it's something new. When we hear this with a group of friends that we will be doing in a few months, we will be going to Navadvip, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's abode, including Sri Vasangam, another place of course. So we are like warming up. So I felt, okay, I will share with them something that's called Gaur Astaka Leela, or the eternal Leela, the eternal play of Sri Chaitanya and his associates in the eternal day in Navadvip in 8 divisions. So again, you study each one of those, and it may sound like at every part of every day they seem to be doing basically the same thing, right? At this time they meet here and they do that, and so again, I'm going to such a place for eternity with such a rigid schedule. But again, the point is, internally the experience is always new. Pratipadam Purna Amrita Ashradana. So that's what allows that external constancy or simplicity. The more we love, the more, how to say it? The more elaborate is our inner world, many times the more simple becomes our outer world. Because everything is happening in our depths. That's how I will understand Srila Prabhupada's quote, simple living, high thinking. The more you have high thinking, the more you are dwelling internally into deep, high thoughts, and not only thinking, but feeling and experiencing, the more simple your life externally tends to become, because there's so much happening in your inner core. And even to the point that sometimes it may seem ordinary on the outside. Bhakti looks pretty ordinary on the outside, in one sense. Like if someone will come, I don't know, dressed in ashes, with loincloth, full dreadlocks to the ground, a beard like that, one stick, one skull in the other hand. Someone will like, wow, that's like, some people may think that's a pretty mystical person or whatever. But maybe you're walking and you see Hari Vyasadeva and say, oh, he doesn't look like a pretty mystical guy. Wait till he sings Jaya Radha Madhava. And then oh, what's going on? There's something beyond the glass and the t-shirt and what's that? So Bhakti is misleading in that sense. It looks normal, ordinary, but if you scratch the surface a little bit, it's like, what's that? That's super transcendental. So that's similar to our goal. Our goal is to serve Radha Krishna in Vrindavan. If you look to Vrindavan Leela on the surface, it looks like, what's this? This is a tribe of uncivilized villagers. That doesn't sound too sophisticated, deep, profound, mystical, right? sounds really ordinary. Seems to be. Again, on a general way. Of course, you scratch the surface a little bit, and you realize, oh, this is super transcendental. But there's the real thing is going on so much internally that externally everything's ordinary. You go to the other side. You go, for example, to impersonal Brahman. That feels very, wow, that's so big, all-pervading, light. But basically there's no love experience there. There's much spaciousness, but no love. Then you go to Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha, by comparison to Brahmans, looks smaller, because now you have forms. Still with 4 arms. It's a little extraordinary, but you have forms. It's smaller than Brahman. It looks, but there's more love. Then from Vaikuntha you go to Vrindavan, no more 4 arms, 2 arms. It looks even smaller, but there's more love. Follow my point? So the spaciousness and the bigness happens in the heart. Externally everything becomes more and more simple. You can be in the Sahara desert, you say, wow, so much space, but if you're by yourself, nobody to love, it's like, oh, it's so small, this place. And you're in a cave with your beloved, and there's enough room. I'm fine here. As long as I'm with the object of my affection, I can be in a cave. A few weeks ago I was in Italy, and we were in Assisi, the place of St. Francis. And yeah, he was a person who was madly in love with God. Beyond formality, beyond rules. I mean, Christian had a hard time, what to do with this guy? No? And he was never rejecting or publicly challenging Christianity at his time, which he will have many good reasons to challenge Christianity at that time. It was so hierarchical, so centered around power, structure, especially at that time. And he just, without wanting to challenge, by the way he led his life, he was challenging the whole status quo around religion, without saying a word, about walking his talk. And he was madly in love with the divine, with nature, with everything. I was in Assisi and I saw there was an interesting set of statues carved in iron or something. It was Francis and 2 brothers of him. So one of them was a scholar, and he opened in nature. So this scholar was trying to measure the distance between different stars, so he was kind of doing calculations with his hand, like a little bit trapped here, right? And there was a second brother. The idea is it was night, full star, and the other brother was not a PhD in cosmology, but was kind of imitating the scholar. So the other one was also like making like faking, like I know also what I'm doing. And then you have Francis on the side, and he's just lying on the floor like this, looking at the star. Like in wonder. Again. The other one was calculating, the other one was imitating, the one who was calculating. And Francis was on another level altogether, just like marveling at creation, in love with. And that made for him a very simple life. Again, if you are with your beloved in a cave, you are fine. And then I went to Francis' room, if you can call it a room, and there's Francis' bed. And bed, if you can call it a bed, it's just a surface of rock on the ground, on the sign, Francis' bed. Again, he didn't need a 5-star hotel bed or anything. I'm with my beloved in my heart. He's not even noticing, is this a rock, is this mattress, is this... It is love. He's in love, that's it. I don't know if it's a rock or anything. Those are secondary considerations. So yeah, I don't know how we get here to Assisi and Francis' rock bed, but we were talking about the nature of love and intimacy and the ever-evolvingness. You know? Vrindavan, Stakali, Leela, I'm making the connections now. So Yeah, our ideal in our tradition is in one sense very simple. Too simple. Not simplistic, but very simple. And sometimes like the saying goes, life is simple, being simple is difficult. Therefore life is difficult. Because sometimes it's too simple. Again, sometimes we make it too complicated, like we were talking today in the morning. Sometimes we get too much entangled. Okay, in order to please Krishna, I have to learn the perfect symmetry while doing the mudra in the morning, and the offering, and the ritual, and the detail, and the mantra, and the tune, and the this, and Krishna's just like... When comes the real offering? Your heart. I don't want all this choreography stuff. I mean, just jump to me and run to receive you. If that helps you to offer your heart, that's fine. But that's the only purpose of doing some fancy hand moves, right? So to say. There are mudras in Golok Vrindavan that there indicate there is another language of love where secret messages are conveyed. There are mudras on another level. So we are not against mudras per se, but love is the foundation of all of that. So, yeah, Baba Grahi Janardana, famous line. Janardhan, Krishna, the divine sweet absolute, is only interested in what's going on in your heart. He's only taking that. Which in one sense is, oh, that's such a relief, I don't have to pay attention. But at the same time it's such a challenge, because what's in my heart? He's interested in your heart. Okay, what's in my heart? You are receiving an invitation to inspect and do the necessary gardening work, as we were talking before, Mahaprabhu would say. Some uprooting here, some watering here, some fencing here. I'm being honest, right? At the end of the day, that's what Krishna said. I want what's in your heart. And he doesn't mean like, I want just sheer purity and perfection. I want your heart, I'm interested in what's going on inside of you. I'm interested in your honesty about where you are. Let's begin there. You cannot begin anywhere else. You just can only begin the journey or continue the journey and the relationship just only from where you are. Not from where you were, not from where you will be, from where you will like to be, from where you will like others to think you are, where you are. That's a meeting point. We have a date, Krishna will say, right where you are. That's the only way a date can take place, so to say. In Sanskrit they have this word avisar. Avisar means like love journey. Krishna plays the flute and the gopis just start to run behind that sound. That's the avisar, the love journey, till they meet the source of that flute, the source of that sound. And as the scripture describes, many times the gopis hear that flute and they were putting makeup before the flute, and when the makeup, the sound of the flute comes, everything, the whole world becomes, how do you say? Upside down. So they put their anklets, like earrings, and the lipstick, like mascara. They're a mess. In aesthetically, in ordinary aesthetics. Those are ordinary aesthetics. And the gopis come to Krishna with full sincerity and honesty, but they look so funny. But Krishna is not saying that. Krishna is not saying, oh, you look so funny, that's not correct. Mascara goes here, lipstick goes here, earrings goes here. He's saying, I mean, they're a mess, technically speaking, but behind that mess there is the sincerity of love. They're presenting themselves as honestly as they can. And Krishna is only saying that. And then, wow, you're so beautiful today. Again, in ordinary considerations, that's not beautiful, that's wrong, that's incorrect, that's messy. Krishna is not saying anything. So I'm not saying that, okay, let's imitate the gopis, but say, we are our own mess, And Krishna is calling us on a daily basis. Every time you see a picture of Krishna, he's never putting the flute down. Like, I'm tired of calling you. I'm renouncing this dharma. Let someone else play the flute. It's not like on the side with the flute like this. No? You will never. No, there he is. We have Sadbhuj Mahaprabhu like this. No? Or when we see the famous pictures of Mahaprabhu, he's always with one hand up, one hand down. He's always reaching down to us, inviting us up. It's not that at one point Mahaprabhu will be like this. No? I'm fed up with you, Mudra. No? Sri Radha, she's always offering blessings. It's not at one point, it's like game over. So the invitation is open, but it's an invitation to for honesty. Showing up, as I quoted the other day, Brené Brown. Show up, how do you say? Vulnerability is to have the courage to show up when you don't have a control over the outcome. I mean, that's what happens every time Krishna plays his blessed flute. You're invited to show up without a clue what will happen. Krishna may be there, may not be there, may tell you to go back home like he did to the gopis. They went to the Rasa Leela and Krishna says, what are you doing here? You're young, married ladies, it's midnight, I'm a young, single boy, what will the village think if they know you're here? You have so many duties at home, you better return there. And the gopis are like, what? You called us. We heard our name mentioned inside that sound. And you are sending us back home. Again, this is all the churning of the heart. It's not that actually Krishna is sending them back, but he wants to add some spices to the masala. And then as we know, the gopis argue with Krishna, they defeat Krishna in debate, they start the Rasa Leela, Rasa dance, but at one point Krishna disappears again. So unexpected, unpredictable. And Krishna plays the flute one day from this direction, next day from the other. It's not that it's not predictable. He's changeless in one sense, as we were talking. He's always Krishna, he's always all attractive, he's always an ocean of mercy. So there is some stability, right? It's not like it's full unpredictability and say, I don't want to deal with that guy. He seems to need therapy. Tell him to run down Eshwar to get him more stable. Too unpredictable. He's very predictable in the sense that he's love. He's always loving. He always had the best interest in mind. Even when he behaves in ways like, why you did that? That's what the gopis asked Krishna when he disappeared from Rasa Leela. Like, why you disappear? We were dancing, celebrating, sharing love. And they give these examples. There are different types of lovers, different types of people who are grateful, ungrateful, this and that. In which box do you fit? And Krishna said, I don't fit in any of those boxes. I have my own box, which is not even a box. And he explains to the gopis, I left the Rasa Leela. He replies in this way, which is even more astonishing for the gopis. I was with you celebrating, and the gopis, why you left? Because I love you. Well, again, very unique way of thinking. We were interacting lovingly, you left us, and you say you left us because you love us? That sounds the exact opposite. No, he says, don't get me wrong. I love you, and if I love someone, I want the best for that person. And the best for any person is that your love will increase. So I could see that your love, at that particular point will increase in separation, not in union. So I left, I created the stage for separation, so your love will increase. And that's the best that can happen to you. May your love increase. And I did all that because I love you. So the gopis were like, smart, mysterious guy. Right? So yeah. So there is this changelessness, there is this stability. Yes, Krishna is love, always loving, always merciful, always accepting us unconditionally. But on that foundation, everything else has to be unpredictable. To create wonder, to create surprise, to keep us on the edge of our seats, to not take things for granted, to not get into toxic certainty and start trying to measure and control and colonize God. You cannot colonize God. So we have to remain humble in the face of love. Even Krishna does that. Yeah, so that's the invitation. When we say Bhakti Bloom, we were talking this day about Bhakti Bloom. For me, all this is just like an afterthought about Bhakti Bloom. And we continue. What does it mean that Bhakti blooms? How it blooms? How it flourishes? How love moves? Aheri bhagati primnasva bhava kutilavapeks. Rupa Goswami said, love moves like a snake. Again, I said, what? What does it mean? Love moves like a snake. How does a snake move? Hopefully you had the fortune not to ever haven't seen a snake. Maybe it was some little danger that you've just seen. Does it move like this? Straightforward, predictable, one line from point A to point B. No, it's zigzag. No? Which means it's unpredictable. No, it's crooked. Krishna's crooked in different places. Right? It's curved. It's not like straight line. No? So, unpredictable means Krishna plays his flute over there, but tomorrow he will play there. You cannot tell Krishna. He decide, please, play always in one point so it's always predictable. It's not I'm running here and there. The moment that happens, it stops being fun. But it stops being adventurous. Remember we say today, one name for him is Urukrama, the great adventurer. So if you want to establish a relationship with an adventurer, that will be adventurous. We have to be willing to enter into that journey. And that for me, personally, I will say how spiritual life continues to make sense every day for years. That's the only way we won't get... That's actually one of the main intentions for me to write this book. How to speak about love and God and the potential of the soul and even of material energy in a way that, puts us in a place of wonder, surprise, rediscovery. So we can continue practicing for the right reasons, not out of mechanical following, out of pressure, out of fitting in, but with excitement, with inspiration. Let me share with you one quote from Prabhupada that's basically what triggered this whole work that I quoted in the introduction. It's from the Nectar of Devotion, and with this I will put it to rest and invite you if you have any questions or thoughts. But he's saying, God's name, Krishna's name is always chanted by millions of devotees, but those devotees never become saturated. Instead of becoming disinterested in thinking of God and in chanting His holy name, devotees get newer and newer impetus to continue the process. Therefore, God and His name, fame, qualities, and everything in relationship with Him is ever fresh. And again, we have the experience. We chant the Maha Mantra. It's the same mantra. How many times you've sung the Maha Mantra so far? Millions of times. Someone said, "Are you crazy? The same song every time?" But it's never the same. If not after 5 minutes of kirtan, it's like, I'm done with this. Right? I remember once I was in Argentina some years ago and we were recording an album with devotees, a kirtan album. And it was mostly Mahamantra. There were others, but it was mostly Mahamantra. So we invited a friend who is not a Gaudiya Vaishnava. He played tabla, a famous tabla player in Argentina. And at the end we finished the recording and he was like making a joke, no? But in this context he was like, "Oh, we need to edit one part of the album." Which part? That part which says Hare Krishna. And the whole album says Hare Krishna. So we have that daily experience. So one and different, the same name, the same mantra, never the same. Prabhupada is confirming here. not only Krishna's names are ever fresh, the part that triggered me the most in this quote is Krishna's name, form, and then he says, and everything in relationship to him is ever fresh. And as we were talking these days in Bhakti Bloom about Sambandha, what's everything in relationship to him? Everything. Nothing exists outside of a relationship with Krishna. So Krishna is ever fresh, and everything in relationship to him is ever fresh. Everything is ever fresh. In its own way, everything is evolving, moving, growing. Even what seems not to move. Well, you may tell me, no, Maharaj, the harmonium is not moving. It's just there. It's not ever fresh. Bring him a good microscope. Examine the harmonium at a subatomic level. You will be in wonder. You will be having like what may seem like a psychedelic trip. Just looking at one piece of matter beyond the surface. It's like, whoa, so much is going on there. What's that? So yeah, let's be careful not to take anything for granted. Not to take matter for granted. What speak Krishna, love, us. As we said the other day, Krishna says in the Gita, each of you are amazing, amazing, amazing. Do not take for granted your own amazingness. Even if you say, yeah, okay, I'm amazing, I can say that. Krishna is saying that I embrace that. But still we have no clue how amazing this all is. There's infinite ways to explore that. So, again, all that keeps us on a learning place. Srila Siddhanta Maharaj will say, students forever. We are never to become non-students. If you become a teacher, if you officially become a guru, it's just you remain a student but from a different seat. Actually, in order for you to sustain your situation as a teacher, you have to become more of a student than you have ever been before. Right? And again, what we are studying, the infinite. There's no limit how much we can learn. No? If you ask any genuine, genius in any department, they will never say, I've learned it all, I know it all. I mean, I'm just being sprinkled with a few drops from an ocean of infinity. Some will say, no, you are totally accomplished, you are Mozart, no, you are whatever, Bach, Chopin. They will feel subjectively, I'm just starting to have a glimpse of what's all this. There's no end to that. So that's how humility happens naturally in our life. It's not an imposition. Be humble. Learn to glimpse at the nature of reality in its ever-evolvingness, and you will be humbled by it naturally. Surrender out of that. Surrender happens out of wonder. Surrender cannot happen out of pressure, out of fear, out of intimidation. Just as we were saying yesterday, it's so fascinating. I cannot but surrender to that. That's how Jiva Goswami describes Krishna. Bhajaniya guna vishishta. He who has such wonderful qualities that I feel drawn to give myself to him in service. It's irresistible, it's too much. I cannot resist. That's how it should happen naturally. Yeah, some thoughts in connection to some aspects of my recent book, to the notion of Acintya-bheda-abheda in connection to that, the notion of wonder, how Bhakti continues to bloom, Julan Yatra. Hopefully we have made some relatively coherent picture of all that. But I'm interested in hearing your thoughts also. If you have any thoughts, questions, or things you would like to share, further explore. Nangamanjari, you raise your hand?
Yes.
But you did it like this and you hide your hand again.
Yeah, I don't know how to formulate my question, but I will try. Actually, this omnipotent, this is difficult for me to understand. In one point, there is a love from Krishna's side and give us this free will, which is pure love from his side. On the other side is wonder in him as a Krishna. But there is also something like, actually not only in our tradition, also everywhere we can say that people who are going through spiritual life, there is a guidance, like Krishna is appearing like Adi Guru, Paramatma, and like this. And this I cannot somehow, because it seems that he knows, and that he sometimes coming and guiding us in our life, although he is also giving us this free will.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow I cannot, these two things like Krishna, wandering, but sometimes as a Paramatma making very strong. I think everyone in life have this experience where one don't knows why, but one did this and this. So it seems that it's then a little bit like different than free will, just I don't know if I express myself.
Yeah, you did, thank you. So again, it's not one or the other, right? It's not like, is it free will or is it Krishna's? Because sometimes I've heard in the devotee circle, like, we end up ascribing too much influence to Krishna. Krishna did Krishna, to the point that we are not taking responsibility for ourselves. That can happen. Everything is Krishna's arrangement, everything is Krishna's arrangement. No, that was your disarrangement. Take responsibility. Still Krishna is present there, trying to prove, but still we are also having our free will. So both things are happening at the same time. Like Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, in every action, there's God's influence, there's your free will, there are the gunas, there are many things happening at the same time. It's not like only one thing, there's only one actor, so to say. It's a multiplicity of things happening. So we have our free will, that's an intrinsic quality of the soul. Kartritva, Jiva Goswami describes it, agency. We cannot be without free will. We will be deprived of that, we are no longer by definition a Jiva, because that's one of the intrinsic qualities of the Jiva. Or free will doesn't, it's a tricky expression, because free will doesn't mean I can do just anything and everything. But there is agency. Agency is the actual word. Or doership. I would say Krishna, of course, is present in everyone's life, trying to exert the most positive influence possible for every person. But also, he's a gentle person, he's respectful, and if we do not invite him to participate in our lives, he won't force himself to the point of cancelling our free will, right? Because love is participatory, it has to be a voluntary decision. It's not like Krishna's like, boom, love me, you have no option. Wow, that didn't feel like love. That was like, again, it has to be voluntary. As I always say, if I tell you, imagine Krishna telling you, okay, you can love me, you have that option, and you ask, which is the other option? There are no other options. So how much that's an option? There's no choice. If there's only one choice, that's not technically a choice. So he loves us unconditionally, and he will like to experience the fullness of that love by us voluntarily reciprocating back. Sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. So, but when we voluntarily invite him to participate in our life, then he may take some more bold steps in his life, in our lives. Because we are inviting him to that. So I'm saying that also for you to become aware. If you invite Krishna to participate in your life, be mindful of whom you are inviting to participate. The great adventurer. Right? Then do not say, what's going on? Just say, you invited me. Right? Again, he's not a bad person, but he is who he is. So we have to be careful not to try to force Krishna to be who we want him to be. He is who he is. It's like a relationship. You have a relationship with other people. It's dysfunctional if Sarah asks Halki, you be in this way. I want you to be like this. And he's like, no, but I'm like this. Oh yeah, I know that, but I need you to be this. And he's like, but I'm not that. I can try as much as I can to fake it, but that's not healthy. That's completely toxic. And sometimes we do that with Krishna. Even we might not say that publicly because it would be too much, but in how we behave, it's like, Krishna, you fit this box. I want you to be like, that's what I say before when I say, we open the altar, Krishna. He said, but when Krishna starts to be too Krishna, you close the altar because like you're too much you. And that's getting in the way of me. And Krishna is like, but that's not what love is about, just like the two of us being who we are and getting together. No? So sometimes it's tragicomical, right? You can pray to Krishna, Krishna, give me your mercy. I need your mercy. And sometimes we have no clue what's the actual mercy we need. But we feel we need mercy. But sometimes we have a footnote that includes how the mercy should look like. The mercy packaging should be coming this way. But of course, if we have everything so clear about how Krishna's mercy should look like, why we are even asking for his mercy? If I have everything so clear myself. So begging for mercy entails the humility of acknowledging probably have no clue what's going on. I need your help. And trusting you know better than I. But then you have to be ready to receive his reply to your prayer. And many times the reply comes, Krishna's mercy, and then we go to Krishna again and ask him for mercy. Say, Krishna, this situation is coming, just give me your mercy. Protect me from this. And he says, that was my mercy. And now you're praying for my mercy to counteract my previous mercy. Krishna's like, you're a strange guy. Yeah. Somehow the relationship will work, Krishna thinks, but so far it's getting a little bit, I'm learning to know you, Krishna. So that's the point, like when we officially invite him, and there are degrees of inviting Krishna also, it's not black and white. The more we progress, it's supposed that you are allowing the other person more and more to be themselves, and you are loving that. It's not just, okay, I allow you to be yourself and I somehow will tolerate that. No? It's not that we need to, it's not how it works. So the more I get to know Krishna, the more I will find a way to deal with that. That's not how spiritual progress should look like. Right? Again, you become more and more fascinated. As he becomes more and more fascinated, the more you allow yourself to be who you are. Again, it's mutual, reciprocal, always. Right? So, still there is a free will. Still Krishna is interested in knowing what you want, who you are, which are your tastes. But all at the highest platform, all that will be in relationship to him as well. So it's interconnected. You know? Whatever you love and like is in connection to the object of your love. But still it's a unique flavor you will be able to offer to him. Like we were talking yesterday, Krishna is with his friends in the Brahma Vimohan Leela, in the picnic. And each friend is having their own lunch box with their own favorite preparations made to them, made by their mothers. Each one have their own taste. It's not like everyone likes the most what Krishna likes the most. Interestingly. They like something more than... But all of that also is in the concept of loving Krishna. So they have, here my mom prepared my favorite samosa and chutney. Wow. But they love Krishna so much, they're like, oh, Krishna, taste that. This is my favorite preparation. Taste that. You will like also love. So that's how it works, right? They have their agency, their free will, but it's all in the context of Krishna, taste that. And they are giving Krishna their own remnant. Taste that. That will taste even better for Krishna. It's coming already savored, honored by my devotees. Wow. So again, it's not black and white. It's not like, okay, Krishna takes over, you have no longer free will, and he's kind of a dictator. You do what I want. No. He's interested in what you want, how you feel. What do you think about it? He's asking for feedback. In the Leela, there are so many Leela. Krishna asked, like he asked Uddhava, what do you think about this situation? Another is like, you're asking feedback to me? Yes. In the Leela, Krishna many times he doesn't know what to do. He needs to receive feedback and support and guidance from his intimate friends to how to proceed in this particular situation in the Leela, how to meet Radha. And that's very charming, that's very beautiful. And we have a chance to offer our free will in service to him. Let me give you a very extreme example to conclude that, as I like to put it sometimes. In our tradition, the ultimate goal of life is to serve Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan, and the dynamics of their daily life is there is union and there is separation. There is union and there is separation. That's what keeps the river of love flowing. Because if there's always union, then you lose this joy of reunion. I cannot reunite with you if I was never separated from you. Separation is required to enhance, to take a union to another level. But in that separation, the love is so intense that in separation, Radha and Krishna feeling, there are 10 stages of separation. The last one is mriti, which means death. Confirmed. They do not die, they do not ever die, but they feel like dying in separation from each other. And at that point, we in eternity will be invited to be there for them and to offer support and guidance and offer hope to save their lives. Your service in eternity is to save the life of God on a daily basis. Let's put it that way. Who am I? Nobody, but that's the arrangement, that's the great. Blame it on Yogamaya, Purnamasti. But that's what the intimate service in the Leela implies. So you have to offer your free will, your agency, your creativity in divine service too. Not only to save the lives of Radha and Krishna in separation from each other, but to facilitate their union again and so on and so forth. And each one will have their own uniqueness to offer in that connection. Your own flavor to bring into the masala. I hope that helps.
Wonderful, thank you.
I know that was an intense example, the last one. I was shockingly on purpose. So, yeah.
I have a question about love. You talked about a lot about love and relationships also in the festival, and I asked myself whether there are different forms of love or whether there's only one love. Because I grew up and got to know the love between a mother and a child, and later the love between a man and a woman, and since some years the love to myself and the divine love, and I feel in my heart it feels very different, the love that I feel in deep meditations, the divine love, the self-love in relationship to other forms of love. Is the aim in Bhakti tradition or wherever that there's the real, the deep, the unconditional love is somewhere everywhere the same, or is it I think like boxing? This love is this and this love is this, and too much head in it, or
Great question, thank you. These are dangerous questions because so much to say about it. Right? But that's the best way we can spend our time, speaking about love, and trying to, not to figure out in our head what's love, but trying to invest our faculties in what's love. Of course, something that I also like to do is, we speak about love, but we need to learn to define love to some level. Not to put the love in a box, but also to have some idea of what we're talking about. Because if I say love, so what's love? Well, love can be anything. So then it becomes nothing. And I can end up doing things that are not love in the name of love. So there has to be some some general framework, not to limit love, but to facilitate an understanding of all that love can be unlimitedly. So in our tradition, there is a definition of love or bhakti. Rupa Goswami gives in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu one text. Nyabilashita sunyam jnana karmadhyana vridam anukulyena Krishna anushilanam bhaktirottama. Let me give you a user-friendly translation of that verse. So there he's saying love basically means a deeply voluntary disposition. It's voluntary, love is voluntary, it's not imposed. And it's a disposition, it's not only an act. It can be an act. But what if I cannot act? If I just in a wheelchair, I still can be disposed to loving, feeling, praying for something. It can be, so it's an inner disposition that may take different forms. Which is devoid of ulterior motives. Is that clear? Or you need to translate that in German? I'm just asking, because I don't, like devoid of separate agenda, selfish, self-centeredness. And there are degrees of all this, of course. And which points to provide the best possible well-being for the person we love. Again, that's a way of rendering that verse. It's deeply voluntary in nature, it's a disposition, it's free from selfish, separatistic, dualistic mentality, and try to provide the best possible for the person we love. Now that can take so many shapes. You can apply the definition to, as a mother, to your children, to your husband, to your mother, to God, and it will take different expressions, but still we can have a coherent foundation of love. That happens even with how different people relate even to God Himself. In our tradition, there are options, so to say. Not only in our tradition, in other traditions, even the Christian tradition. I mean, there are sections in the scripture that the Song of Songs. It's like a romantic approach to God. In Italy, they worship very much Madonna and Bambino, no? The mother and the child. No? So Jesus is a Vatsalya rasa, we would say, paternal feelings. So God as my child, God as my lover, God as my friend, on equal terms. God as the father, God as the master. God more as a more static reality that I contemplate in meditation. There are different options. But ideally there is this coherent definition of love is there. So yeah, I wouldn't say that for us love takes the same form in every relationship, because of course, I mean, you cannot love your mom as you love your husband. It gets in the way, and our teachers will explain that that's called rasa abhasa, improper mixture of expressions of love. I cannot relate to my mom romantically. It makes no sense. It gets in the way of the actual love for my mother as a son. Right? So, but that doesn't mean we are limiting the love. Actually, those rules facilitate the expression of every single love. You follow my point? Because if I say, oh, by not allowing romantic feelings with your mom, you are limiting love. No. By allowing that, I'm limiting the actual experience of that flavor of love. So there are some rules to love, but the rules are not to limit, but to facilitate. Right? Like in any game. If I invite you to play, I don't know, soccer, I'm from Argentina, and you don't know how to play soccer, which I don't think, because we're from Germany. You have to have pretty good famous soccer players. But let's say you don't know how to play soccer, and I have to tell you the rules. If we want to have an exciting time playing, you have to follow the rules. Because if not, if I just throw the ball and you take it with your hand, and you start running and jump into the lake and swim with the ball, and it's like, that's not soccer. That's not fun. Right? Follow the rules. But generally we think follow the rules will like limit things, but following rules can facilitate a very incredible, exciting experience. So the same with love. There are some rules to love, some parameters, some perimeter. And inside that, so much can happen in different ways, in different flavors. I don't know if that answers or addresses the... Yeah? Something else in that connection? Or?
No, and I think it's a little bit more easy for me now because I don't have to think that this love that I feel in divine love or in deep self-love has to be the same with everybody. It can be different and it can be love too.
Yeah. And even in some cases, as we were talking these days, in some going back to our realistic human situation, not taking for granted that we are enlightened beings who love everyone universally. In some cases you need to take distance from some people and situations so you can love them as much as you can love someone at this stage. Follow my point? Because if you get too close, you will get hurt, you may get abused, you may lose sight of actual love, so you may need to take some safe distance, and from there trying to have the most possible loving disposition at a safe distance. So that will also be an expression of love. You want to say something in connection to this?
In connection
okay,
to
so let's go there and then we'll go to
the previous question and this one. How do we reconcile these two things around allowing one to be themselves, to love them, and then these rules that we have of love? So for example, you gave this example of Sarah. She wouldn't let me be myself. And Sarah will say, hey, if you tidy up a little bit more, this is nicer. And this just allows our love to grow. And so I could say, yeah, but this is me, I'm messy. So you have to accept me for who I am. And yet there's a loving part of me that says, well, I want to change who I am and evolve so that we can come more into connection with each other. And Krishna is saying, although Krishna accepts us for who we are, Mukta Yasacha Me Priya in 12th chapter, he's constantly telling us, this person is very dear to me, the one who is equiposed in happiness and distress, the one who doesn't cause anyone any suffering, the one who sees gold and earth as the same, the one who has friends and enemies the same. He's giving this benchmark of how we should be, and he's saying this person is very dear to me. How can we reconcile all of these things together?
Dangerous questions. So much to say. Thank you. First I would like to clarify regarding that series of verses, which are beautiful, of course, found in chapter 12 of the Gita. Krishna there is speaking about his devotees. So he's somehow in expressing his love for his devotees, also he's telling his devotees, as you say, benchmark this, the qualities that are expected to be shown in a devotee. But that doesn't mean that those who do not have those qualities, Krishna doesn't love them. Right? Just to make that point clear, which, just in case. And in connection to what you mentioned about accepting someone for who they are, but how much that doesn't lead to complacency, for example, or like, okay, I'm who I am, love me. And it can become manipulation in a relationship, right? Like, you are not accepting me unconditionally. I'm messy, I'm this, and I'm dysfunctional, and I'm abusive. To you, accept me for who I am. Right? It can go to so many places in the name of unconditional acceptance. So, what comes to me as a reply to that is this quote from Carl Rogers. He's a psychologist. I quote him in my previous work. And he says, maybe I'm not quoting him literally, but basically he says, you can only change if you accept someone first. So acceptance is not the end of the story. Acceptance is the foundation for change. So I accept you for who you are. Okay, let's say, I'm not saying this is literal, I'm following your example. You're messy and keeping your clothes, you throw your clothes everywhere. Is that true, Sarah? It's okay, we'll talk later. No public confessions. So, okay, that may be the case. So first you need to accept that as a fact, and I accept you're messy with that, I love you with that, but on the foundation of that we can talk about things and see, because one person accepting you as that, again, love is reciprocal, so it's not just about you accept me as I am. It entails also accepting you for who you are. So maybe I'm messy with my clothes, and you are accepting me, and for you, my messiness is really disturbing. So I have to accept that you are getting disturbed by my messiness. So then we both accept each other, and on the basis of that acceptance we engage in conversation about what needs to change to improve the relationship, to develop, whatever, right? So, but for me the point that I want to make is, first it has to be acceptance. But acceptance is not just for the sake of complacency and staying there and no change at all and laziness, but to change. There is so much to change in the good sense, to improve, to grow. But I can only change anything acknowledging where I am now.
And coming to this.
And accepting ourselves, because sometimes it's not just accepting the other. Many times the hardest job is accepting where I am, myself, now. Maybe the other person is accepting me, but I'm not accepting myself. So I have to learn to accept myself. That's what the Gita says, Krishna says in the Gita, right? Do your dharma imperfectly. That's better than doing someone else's perfectly. So accept your own mess. Begin there. That's not the ultimate goal, but we have to begin somewhere. And on the basis of that we can change all that needs to be changed, but on a foundation of acceptance. So.
Yeah, what I've experienced in working with people, myself as well, there is a nature that we have, and Krishna's describing this. And then there's character as well, which is separate from nature. And we develop this character, just like you were saying, everything is ever evolving, even the harmony is evolving.
Yeah.
So all of us in this, there's a beautiful journey, accepting and then evolving together as well.
And I would say also the acceptance of the other or ourselves is, we could say double, in the sense I am accepting who you are as a human with a certain acquired nature in this lifetime that may need to change, but also I'm accepting you for who you are beyond that as a wonderful soul with ever-evolving potential, and I do not lose sight of that part when I am addressing your human messiness, so to say. I'm not limiting you to that part. No? I'm always reminding you're a beautiful soul that Krishna considers amazing. Even if in this particular moment you seem to be forgetting that and behaving in very unamazing ways, still this is who you are. Still this is how Krishna is seeing you. So I have to treat you hopefully as closer as Krishna is seeing us. No? That's the ideal standard, not to create neurosis and become like perfectionists, but how Krishna is seeing us. Okay, how much we can represent that glance to each other in how we relate to one another. That's a beautiful challenge. Challenge but beautiful at the same time. Yeah. And I'm thinking about Krishna in the Gita, and I'm going there, telling the beginning to Arjuna, follow your dharma. No, like inviting Arjuna to accept your nature. No? And at the end of the Gita, he's telling Arjuna, reject all dharma. But in between so many things he's saying. No? So he starts with the basis, accept who you are, where you are in the world, this and that. And then so many other things can change and happen, and you can get another level of instruction and realization, but we can only begin where we are. That's why Krishna says, people approach me for money, for knowledge, because they are afflicted, and he's not condemning them, he's welcoming them. Like implying, okay, you want to, Bhagavatam say, akamo sarvo kamo va moksha kamo dharaditi vrena bhakti yogena sa jayeta purusham param. Bhagavatam says, whether you have no desire whatsoever, akama, sarvo kama, whether you have all the desires in the world, moksha kama, whether you have only one desire, moksha, whatever you find in between that spectrum, it doesn't matter. Just Krishna said, approach me. wherever you are. And we can start from there. So again, acceptance. Acceptance and then ever-evolving change. I think it's, I consider in general this type of thing, emphasis very healing in our community, instead of becoming neurotic about like an idealistic, perfectionistic, too high goal that we will feel, I'm not there, I'm not enough. And you become so discouraged at the end of the day. Feel so terrible about yourself, or feel, oh, this practice is not working for me, instead of, you are where you are, learn to embrace that. You're already doing Bakti, that's what we want to do forever. So we're already doing what we want to do forever. That's it, right? Celebrate. You have already arrived. You are doing what you want to do forever, that's it. You don't have to arrive anywhere else. You just continue to arrive to where you already are, deeper into Bhakti. Even you officially attain Golok Vrindavan, still you continue to grow and arrive to deeper stages of Bhakti. So you're already there on the way home. So no reason to go neurotic or think, I don't know, if I step onto the shadow of the Swami, Krishna will make me a frog in the next lifetime. Come on, relax. That's not Krishna. That's your probably unresolved daddy issues that you are projecting on God or something. That's not Krishna. I remember once in the US some years ago, one Vaishnavi, she started to cry and she said, like, I'm so afraid that I will lose my human form of life in the next lifetime. I was like, why? Why are you feeling that? Because I'm pregnant, and I lost my pregnancy, and I'm pregnant again, and this is taking so much of my energy, physically, mentally, emotionally, I cannot finish my rounds. So I'm really, really concerned. This may be my last human lifetime. And she was crying, sincerely feeling that, and I was so sad by it. Like, how can you think that Krishna he's not such a cruel guy? I mean, please, you have your human life in place. He's crying along with you in this moment. He's embracing you at this moment. He's not thinking about making you a camel in the next lifetime, a giraffe. He's honoring your tears and your sincerity and your suffering. That's the God we worship. Apichet sudracharo bhajanti mamananyava. That's what Krishna says in the Gita. That's one of the only verses Krishna used the word sadhu. He defines a sadhu. How does he define a sadhu? He who behaves very badly still, but who very sincerely tries to surrender to me. Sadhureva samamtavya samyapya vyasatavisa. For me, that person is a sadhu. It's correctly situated in his determination or her determination. He's not saying a sadhu is impeccable, perfect, never makes a mistake, always finishes his round, blah 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 blah. He says apichet suduracharo. Achar means good behavior, durachar means bad behavior, sudurachar means very bad behavior. He says, even if you still have very bad behavior, but you are very honestly trying to give your heart to me, for in my eyes, Krishna says you are a sadhu. That's his definition of sadhu in the Bible. Not as an excuse to, okay, then that's not the intention of the verse. But the intention is like, be honest wherever you are. If you are still a mess, but you are honest, Krishna says you are a sadhu. Sadhu means honest. Prabhupada translates satam, which is like sadhu, an utterly honest person. Yeah. He's raising his hand for the last 2 hours already. But then you go to learn. Kanupriya, you tell me if I'm just absolutely transgressing the local time and willing to start.
Also, lunch could be at 1.
That's the time, 12:15. Okay, maybe these 2 questions and then we take some time with people.
Thank you very much for taking us on this adventure, and it was exciting morning so far. My question is, can you say something about the Guru being Krishna and at the same time not being Krishna?
That was your question.
Like in the, yeah,
Similar.
almost, yeah, crazy.
For me, I can understand that theoretically, Krishna is a super soul, Krishna is all-pervading. As far as I understand, the Guru is not, somehow. So I see that Krishna can talk to me through every other person, for example.
Yeah.
But at the same time we hear Prabhupada saying he's there in his instructions, he's there in his books, and he can be with us when we speak about him, when we pray to him, and participate in our lives and be there personally, present somehow. And my Guru Maharaj left his body, and I had moments where I thought, okay, he's here, he's interacting with me, he's talking to me through another person, but how can that be if he's not the super soul and maybe a Jiva? So, can you say something?
Such a problem to be concise in replying to this question, because there are very necessary questions. Guru Tattva is just the truth about the Guru is one of the most difficult to understand topics, which means Guru Tattva is one of the topics that they are most easy to misunderstand. And one of the main misunderstandings is that we hyper-localized Guru to one person. That's one of the many potential misunderstandings. That's why the other day someone was asking, who is your Guru? And well, those who know my story, that adds a whole layer of nuance. But besides that, I never liked the question. Because once it feels invasive. Like if I ask you, if I'm meeting you for the first 1 second on the street, what's your wife's name? Where do you live? Your phone number? Email, password, possible, and bank account. It's like, what's good? Right? Who's your Guru? That's something very private, very... And also generally the question is framed in singular. So I can only give you one name. And our tradition speaks about the plurality of Guru. That's how the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita, the first 2 words are Bande Gurun. Gurun means plural. I offer my pranam to my Gurus. So if I ask you in singular, I'm like, okay, I have to only give one name. It's like, and we were talking the other day, Rupa Goswami says the ideal connection between Guru and disciple is one of friendship. So in one sense you could think of your Guru as a friend. Not in any ordinary, but a very dear friend. But I can have more than one friend also, right? If I ask you the question, who is your friend? It's strange, right? You say, why you are saying friend only? But we say, who is your Guru, right? So those are some misunderstandings that we may have, like, okay, Guru is just one person. There can be many persons, but also Guru ultimately is Krishna. That's another point. Samasti, Vyasti, I don't want to get into many Sanskrit technicalities, but technically speaking, Krishna is the original Guru. You have Parampara, first one, Krishna. Chaitya Guru, Guru in the heart. So when we say that the Guru is God, again, we are not saying that literally. Prabhupada himself protested about that, and there was at one point this wave of making him basically Krishna in every sense, and he was like, that's impersonalism. No, that's too much. You are pushing too far the envelope. So the Guru is God in a representational way. A Guru ideally is a person, if we talk about Guru as an individual, is someone who embodies God's presence and will and lives his, her life, just in case. One more time, his, her life. Guru is not limited to a male body, no. Guru has to do with inner qualities, not with gender, sex, form, etc. So, yeah, Guru is, I would say, it's a principle of divine revelation. And as you say, Guru as a department, as an agency, because we have Samasti and Vyasti, I have to say that. Samasti is like the Guru agency, and Vyasti is the Guru agent. So the individual Gurus are agents who are representing the agency. Sometimes an agent may fail. It happens. That means that the agency is compromised. Follow me, Paul? So, and again, original Guru is Krishna, and Krishna is, hopefully doesn't sound too much, but Krishna is the original Guru. Krishna is omnipresent. In that sense, we would say Guru is everywhere. By definition. Krishna is Guru. Krishna is everywhere. Guru is everywhere. Of course, who has the capacity to find Guru everywhere, that's another thing. And that's why we generally need one person or a few others to train us, help us to train our eye to eventually find Guru everywhere. Because those are the teachings of the Bhagavatam. As I like to say, you have 11th canto, these 24 Gurus. 24 Gurus, right? And that's a very unique parampara, because those Gurus are Earth, Moon, Sun, Bumblebee. There are 24, there are only 3 humans in that list. And those 3 are a baby, a girl, and a prostitute. Not the usual acharya you may portray. So the intention of all that is you have to be able eventually to find Guru everywhere, to find this department of guidance and illumination everywhere. Yeah. So yeah, we shouldn't take it too literally that my Guru is God. But we will say an ideal Guru, and there are degrees of Guru, but if we speak about a Guru well situated, doesn't mean that the Guru is omniscient, for example, but it means that that person is so attuned to Krishna in the heart that whatever Krishna wants to manifest, he will inspire that person to manifest that also. No? I don't know if that addresses all the things. Of course, we can talk about this for hours, but
yes, I can follow you, and yeah, it's very inspiring to search for the Guru everywhere and connected to Krishna. But at the same time, it's also important for us to be personal with the personal Guru, as I understand. For example, Srila Prabhupada, because we are eternally indebted that he saved us here, for example. And so it's also focused on a particular person, and like Prabhupada was very focused on his spiritual master. And so probably the Guru is universal and at the same time an individual person.
Again, Veda-abheda. Another way of saying about Veda-abheda. Guru is universal, everything is Guru, but we don't want to use that as an evasive bypassing of having a connection with living guide, so to say, right? So yeah, there is that other side of the equation, which is beautiful and very important. And even, again, but that doesn't necessarily to be limited to one person either. I cannot. It's not that, okay, I have 3,000 Siksha Gurus, and it's like, how you keep up with all that Siksha? But we know in our tradition you can have a Diksha Guru, and maybe there's a Siksha Guru, and that Siksha Guru sometimes becomes more prominent, and at the end of the day, it's not a competition, right? It's not like, because all they are serving the same purpose, right? So someone may feel, okay, for me the most prominent inspiration maybe someone like Srila Prabhupada, and someone else may have another primary inspiration. But as long as that's genuine and respectful, it's fine, there is no problem. No? We shouldn't feel like, why he's not your main inspiration and you should be... Because how love and inspiration happens is unique in every case. We can't dictate, you should be inspired mostly with this person, then second with this, and this will be your guru, because again, it's love, it's voluntary decision, right? So, but yeah, there's a beauty in developing the personal relationship with those personalities, even when they are not physically present. Yeah, still there are so many ways to. That's a whole separate conversation, but that's an important one also. How I was talking with a devotee in Austria some days ago, and her guru passed a few months ago. So now she's in this chapter, which is, of course, there's lots of grieving, there's lots of bewildering. Okay, that person that I love so much is not longer here, but at the same time, that person still exists. But where, how to reconsider the relationship beyond the physical, and of course, it's a whole process. No? You cannot just give a magical formula and there I am. No, it's a whole rediscovering of the person on another dimension now, right? So, but that's beautiful. Lara?
Yes, I actually had a question about the Guru Tattva, so I love to hear more about it. So maybe my question is, could you speak about the so-called dance between having faith in your Guru versus having a relationship which is maybe a little bit depend or like overly depend, you know, like between having faith and being dependent, yeah, like being too much absorbed, like without attached, yeah, maybe like, yeah, a little bit, like I have something in mind, but I don't want to say it out loud.
No, it's fine. That's what it feels. There is something more specific.
I would like to talk.
Yeah, we can do it more personal if you want.
Yes,
because sometimes it's.
Yeah.
Sometimes there is a question behind the question.
Yeah.
But that other question is not for public consumption, so to say. So maybe let's leave it for.
Okay.
Because if not, I will just give a very abstract idea that may not be the fulfilling the actual situation and the actual. I may not be as accurate as I could if.
But this was my first question.
I just wanted to. It's from your question still. I just about the love and the different
forms and expressions.
What just came to mind was actually what you were speaking about in the beginning, where you were saying like it's two things at the same time. It's one form, but it's also ever changing. I think with this love and having different experiences, it's the same, where you have a unity of love that is one, that's always there, and it's one form, but there's at the same time many expressions within that one form.
Yeah. It's a Christian friend of mine, author, theologian. He will speak about. He has a book called Pluriform Love. No? So love is uniform in one sense. There's one form, one definition, and then it has a plurality of expressions. And in each one of those expressions also love becomes ever new, ever fresh. It's not just that, okay, love is different in the sense that I love my mom, I love my husband, I love my children. It's also different than you in how you can love your mom in ever new ways, and your husband and Krishna and everything. So there's always this constant element to love and this ever new, ever fresh element to them together. Okay, maybe we can put the discussion to rest.